Hello everyone. Students, in previous video we discussed about the nervous system, how it present in lower organism to higher organism, how it evolved from lower to higher organism. In this section we will discuss about the synapse. Before that, students, for getting my all videos, you have to subscribe this channel. Now, we will discuss about the synapse. What is the definition of synapse? It is a junction between two nerve cells with a minute gap. Here, the gap is also known as a synaptic cleft in between them, which allows transmission of impulse by a neurotransmitter bridge. Here is another definition: the junction between two neurons, axon to dendrites, or between a neuron and a muscle. Students, for the junction or for the synapse, it needs two nerve cells. One nerve cell which come close together of another nerve, or it may be gland cell or muscle cells. So minimum two nerve cells are important for synapse. What is synaptic transmission? Actually, there are two types of the transmission. One is a chemical transmission and another is electric transmission. We will discuss later. At first, now the process by which the impulse conducts from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron or cell is called synaptic transmission. It is one-way process carried out by neurotransmission. Students, the neurotransmission is related about the neurotransmitter. Okay, so at first we have to know what is the neurotransmitter. Actually, it is a chemical which located in our nerve cells. We have to discuss all this structure of the synaptic transmission. This structure shows basically three parts. This part is a bulb-like structure. It is the end part of one neuron or axon, or it is the terminal part of a neuron. Terminal part or end part both are same. So that part is called a presynaptic cell. Here it shows a number of synaptic vesicles. These are spherical and numerous in number. Along it, the mitochondria are also present but not shown in this diagram. So these synaptic vesicles actually they filled a neurotransmitter. You can see here. So the neurotransmitter are filled within these synaptic vesicles, and these neurotransmitter are larger in molecules. So when they releases, what processes happen? We can see here, when the nerve impulses traveled from nerve cells and it reaches to the bulb or end part of the neuron, that time the voltage gated calcium channel opens and the calcium enters into the bulb. Here the calcium diffuses into the synaptic vesicle, As the calcium diffuses into these vesicles, that time these vesicles activate and goes to down. Here this part is the plasma membrane of presynaptic cell or presynaptic neuron. These cells reaches to the plasma and here they releases all neurotransmitter. The chemical, that is the neurotransmitter, releases from presynaptic cell and it comes into the gap. Students, this gap is larger in chemical synapse as compared to electric synapse. So we are discussing here both types of the synapses. Okay. So here the synaptic cleft is larger and the another part is important part, that is the postsynaptic cell. Students, here the one cell and the other cell may be it is nerve cell or it may be muscle cell or it may be gland cell. So when the neurotransmitter releases and across to the synaptic cleft and the receptors which are present or located at the postsynaptic cell, they are ready to bind the neurotransmitter. These receptors are important part, we play important role in the synapses. So the neurotransmitter bound to receptor. In this way, the impulses traveled from one cell or from one presynaptic cell to postsynaptic cell. Once the impulse has been transferred across the synapse, the enzyme like cholinesterase destroys the neurotransmitter and the synapse is ready to receive a new impulse. This is the important part. Now we will discuss about the types of synapse. Here electrical synapse and a chemical synapse are the two types of synapse. Electrical synapse, the distance in between two neurons is very narrow. It is about 2.8 nanometer. It is faster than chemical synapse. Impulses traveled from one neuron to another dendrites by ions or movement of charge. Electrical synapse is requiring fastest response as in the defense reflexes. Students, this electrical synapse is important part of our nervous system. When it carried the process at the time of emergency, suppose in kitchen sometime we touch to hot utensils, that time suddenly we leave it because the hot utensils, and that time the impulses carry from our cell to cell is very fast, and it happens because the gap of between the two neurons is very narrow. It is just about a 2.8 nanometer. If we discuss the chemical synapse, there is the gap is larger because there is a neurotransmitter, there is a chemical which releases or which conducts from one cell to another cell. But in case of electrical synapse, there is ions and a movement of charge which conducts the impulses from nerve to nerve, and that process required less time, very less time. In case of chemical synapse, one neuron sends chemical signals to the other neuron, gland or muscle. Synaptic gap is larger than electrical synapse and it is about 20 to 40 nanometer. We can compare the synaptic cleft is very narrow in electric synapse because their impulses is very fast, and here the gap is larger and so the synapse impulse are slow. Impulse conducts from presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron is by a chemical called neurotransmitter. Once the impulse has been transferred across the synapse, the enzyme like cholinesterase destroys the neurotransmitter and the synapse is ready to receive a new impulse. So, within the comparison, we know that the chemical synapse is a slower than electric synapse. Here, the gap is larger than electric synapse. This process is done by neurotransmitter, as in electrical synapse the conduction of impulses is carried by ions or charged molecules. So students, you can learn here the basic parts of the synapse. Basically there are two types, chemical and electric, and the diagram is very important. It can be asked in a board exam. So thank you for getting all my videos. Again, you have to subscribe to never miss my upcoming videos.